servants and servants of the Lord. Wow, we're sad to hear that your neck is a little bit not working. However, this is an opportunity for us to just take the time to thank you, and appreciate you for the services that you do every single day. You're so consistent. This is so wonderful. Every day we look on YouTube, if we're
Thank you.
not here to see, and we just like so I don't know how can't even describe a word that expresses how nourished our hearts are to see you, to see Damodar Priya every single day. Adipurusha Prabhu, I wouldn't miss this for the world in the mornings. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you very much. And also, one of the things that we've been really appreciating is all the speakers that you have on this platform.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Everyone comes, and each day it's richer, and every day has so much richness, so much appreciation from the devotees for the Lord, and we feel it and we hear it. And we're so grateful to everyone that you have, the devotees that come to listen and the devotees that speak. We're just, yeah, we're grateful.
Thank you, Vraja, Lila, and Ekavira, Prabhus, for encouraging us.
How did you hurt your neck, Prabhu?
I slept with the window open.
Oh.
I woke up, I couldn't move, and then I was screaming in the shower, waking up everybody. So if I scream in this class, just mute me. Damodar Priya, okay? It's your service.
Wow. Okay, so since Adipurusha Prabhu, he graces us in the mornings with all the prayers, we will just read the verse. Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu. Thank you so much. And thank you every day for your loving exchanges with the devotees. We get nourished hearing you whenever you share. Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Narakshitya Narakshitya Rotamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudayam Nasta Prayasya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastaki Gora Hari Hari. So I think the reverse today is the text are 20, 21, and 22 from Canto 10, chapter 48. And I don't know, Ekavira, can you pull it up, or I just read it? Let's see. We're
no.
Oh, I didn't pull it up. Okay, I'll just read it. I'm sorry. Okay, so text 20. I'll just do the Sanskrit of this verse, and then we'll go on to the rest of them. Yata hi bhuteshu charache rishu. Okay. Yata hi bhuteshu charachareshu. Mayado adayo yonishu bhanti nana. Evam bhavam kevala atmayo nishu. Atmat ma tantro buddhavidhati. Okay, Vraja, Lila, this morning. So the chat yata, as he, indeed, bhuteshu, among manifested beings, chara, mobile, achareshu, and immobile, mahi adayaha, earth, and so on, the primary elements of creation, yoneshu, in species, banti, manifest, nana, variously, eva, so, bhavan, you, kevalaha, one alone, atma, yourself, yoneshu, in those whose source, atma, the supreme soul, atma tantra, self-reliant, bahudha, manifold, vibhati, appear. Srila Prabhupada's translation. just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in the abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, so you, the one independent Supreme Lord, appear to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. There isn't a purport, so we'll go on to the next one. You create, destroy, and maintain this universe with your personal energies, the modes of passion, ignorance, and goodness. Yet you're never entangled by these modes or the activities they generate, since you are the original source of all knowledge. What could ever cause you to be bound by illusion? Srila Prabhupada's purport. The phrase Janat Manas Te Kavacha Bad Bantahe Tuhu, since you are constituted of knowledge, what could be a cause of bondage for you? Definitely indicates the obvious that the omniscient Supreme God is never in illusion. Therefore, the impersonalistic theory that we are all God but have forgotten and now are in illusion is refuted here in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the last text, 22, since it has never been demonstrated that you are covered by material bodily designations, it must be concluded that for you, there is neither birth in a literal sense nor any duality. Therefore, you never undergo bondage or liberation. And if you appear to, it is only because of your desire, that we see you in that way, or simply because of our lack of discrimination. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Here, Akura states two reasons why the Lord appears to be covered by a material form or to take birth like a human being. First, when Lord Krishna executes his pastimes, his loving devotees thinks of him as their beloved child, friend, lover, and so on. In the ecstasy of this loving reciprocation, they do not think of Krishna as God. For example, because of her extraordinary love for him, Mother Yashoda worries that Krishna will be injured in the forest. That she feels this way is the desire of the Lord, which is here indicated by the word nikamaha, kamaha. Okay, the second reason the Lord may appear a material is indicated by the word avivekaha, simply because of ignorance, a lack of discrimination. One may misunderstand the position of the personality of Godhead. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in Lord Krishna's discussion with Sri Uddhav, the Lord elaborately discusses his transcendental position beyond bondage and liberation. As stated in Vedic literature, Deha Dehi Vibhago Ayam Deshvare Vidyate Kavchit. There is never a distinction of body and soul in the Supreme Lord. In other words, Sri Krishna's body is eternal, spiritual, omniscient, and the reservoir of all pleasure. Jai. Sorry. Okay. Randasya. Yakshura Militam Yena. That's my Shri Guru Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamaya. Rati Swapadantika. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamala. Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sakal. Sahagana Raghunatam. Samsajiva. Advaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Kalita Sri Vishakam Tamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrinda Rishabhanu Sata Devi Vanamam Vanchakapatubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Lanchakalpataru, I said that already, okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasai Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tidamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani. Nivishesha Sunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarani. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasai Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitarani. Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhaktivedanta Namani. Hari Hari. Thank you, everyone that took the time to be here with us this morning. We're so very grateful for your association. And Ekavira Prabhu, would you like to start us out? Okay, well, let's see. All right. So, as you all know, or some of you may not know, Ekavira is a personality in a male body that's shy. So I don't know how many of the males on this call may have some of that quality. And so me as a wife, I'm always like pulling him. Okay, speak. And he's always, he's just a shy person. And so he's one of those persons that let his wife speak. So please forgive me on the platform if there are anyone that this may bring up some feelings for you. I don't know what to say. I try to encourage my husband.
Don't let her speak. I encourage her.
He encourages me to speak. That's a fact. He's like, you speak. And I'm like, no, please, you share. Anyway, he's gonna share today. We pray. So this is just such a beautiful part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this 10th canto, and specifically this section where Krishna is pleasing his devotees. We've been hearing throughout, just even before this section, when Krishna's at the gopis, we have had so many amazing speakers that have shared different realizations, different perceptions of how they understood the verses they've been reading. And here in this section where Krishna is pleasing devotees, the devotees, we first heard about Kubja. And of course, we learned how Krishna extended himself to Kubja. And here again, we're seeing how Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, is extending himself to Akura. And we know that Akura is like a confidant of the Lord. We know that he's the Lord engages him in many different pastimes. And he's a confidant as well as a family member, right? He's a paternal uncle. However, the pastimes, these pastimes are so beautiful with the Lord and his devotees because we get an opportunity to enter into these loving exchanges with the Lord. And so here Krishna is making himself personally available to Akura by coming to his home to see him. And of course, Akura, Prabhupada describes as thrilled. He's like this emotion, if we can think of this emotion of joy and excitement and thrill that the Lord, the Supreme Lord, is coming to his home. So he's totally overwhelmed by this visit. And of course, according to Vedic culture, we learn that Akura, he showed us, he exemplified for us what it's like to receive a guest. And so we just recently heard that from some of the speakers of how Akura received Krishna. There's so many lessons in these pastimes always for all of us, and this reciprocation between someone receiving a guest is so very important. And so Akura shows us how to do it. Yesterday we heard about how he's massaging Krishna's feet, and how he welcomes Krishna into his home. And now we're hearing Akura is now he's worshiping his feet, and he's in that mood of prayer. He's totally humbled by the Lord coming into his presence. And I'm sure so many of you have had this experience of Krishna in his Archavriga form coming into your home, or being in the temple and seeing the Lord, and become totally humbled just to see the Lord. And so here, Akura is seeing the Lord personally. Krishna has appeared personally. So these prayers that Akura is offering, Srila Prabhupada explains to us that after Akura acknowledges Krishna and Balaram for what they had done in terms of killing Kamsa, then now he will glorify the Lord with these philosophical prayers. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, Krishna, I cannot say that I know anything about you philosophically. However, the Lord in the heart, Janardana, he opens our darkened eyes, as Adipurusha Prabhu said, by the mercy of the spiritual master. And somehow the Lord gives us remembrance for things we might not even understand. And so I beg all of you today that we are somehow, not by any qualification, but we will attempt to enter into these amazing, loving exchanges of Akura with Krishna and philosophical prayers. So in the first prayer, Krishna, the one independent supreme soul, appeared to be manifold among variegated objects of the creation, of the Lord's creation. So we hear prayers like this from many of the different personalities in the Bhagavatam. For example, Queen Kunti, when she prays, she also prays to the Lord and expresses about the amazing creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how the Lord is there in each and every living entity. And so Prabhupada explains to us that perfect knowledge, that knowledge, when we think about transcendental knowledge, is that the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is the supreme shelter for every living entity. So that's what's important in understanding how Krishna enters into his creation, and he also gives shelter to every living entity in his creation. Srila Prabhupada is so amazing how he breaks down for us throughout his books about the living entities and the diluting energy of Krishna's external energy, the material energy, and how they're separate. Krishna's external energy is separate from his internal energy, and we know that there is Yogamaya and Mahamaya. So Krishna in Yogamaya enters into the material realms, and he performs different pastimes, as we all know, because all of you are here in Bhagavatam every day. And as we said, there's just so many amazing speakers that illuminate for everyone how to enter into these verses of Srila Prabhupada, these verses of Shrikadev Goswami. So the living entity, us, the living entities, we forget Krishna. And so Krishna arranges for us to remember him. And this is one of the ways that Krishna arranges for us to remember him, is to hear from his wonderful devotees, and to hear those pastimes that he personally enact with his devotees. And so we get to hear from Akura today, and we get to learn from Akura today. We get to learn about Krishna's, at least I get to learn. Most of you already know, we get to learn, already know how Krishna enters into this material energy, and how Krishna is the supreme soul in each and every living entity. And so here, Prahlad Maharaj, he prays, he says, my dear friends, O son of the demons. He's speaking to his friends, and he's saying, in the same favorable way that a person sees himself and takes care of himself, so much emphasis today on us caring for ourselves. Lot of emphasis on self-care. So here's Prahlad Maharaj. He's saying like this. He said, yes. So how you see yourself, how you take care of yourself, please take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the super soul of all living entities. So here we're being instructed by this most amazing devotee of the Lord how to understand that how Krishna is the supreme soul in all living entities. And the key for understanding is to engage in devotional service, which all of you are doing right now by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Prabhupada's words on how he's explaining what Shukadev Goswami is saying. So in the next text, text 21, Akura is again offering these amazing prayers. You create, you destroy, and you also maintain this universe with your personal energies, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Yet, you are never entangled by these modes or the activities they generate. So, yeah, Krishna, he, how can we understand, fully understand? I can't. The personality of Godhead, he never leaves Vrindavan. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. At the same time, Krishna makes all arrangements for those living entities that chooses to be separate from him in Vrindavan, in those eternal pastimes. And so for us, for those conditioned souls, he arranges the external energy. And Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Maya yakshena prakriti suyate sa charancharam he tunanena kunteya jagad vipari vartate. This material nature that conditioned souls are blessed to be in so that they can revive their dormant, they meaning me, revive my dormant love of the Lord, is arranged under the direction of the Lord. He says, this material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created, annihilated again and again. So Krishna is explaining this to Arjuna, how he enters, why he enters into this material world. And we know that it's purely by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by Srila Prabhupada's representatives, I have had the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, as continuously, and also with faith and with an open heart, then Krishna reveals to us, his existence in this material world and how he interacts in the material world. So in another verse, Prabhupada says, according to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, then there is 4 divisions of human society, and that's created by Krishna. And he explains, Krishna says, and although I am the creator of the system, he creates the system of the 4 divisions of human life, and we know those 4 divisions, that he says, you should know that I'm yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. And so that, sometimes that those words can be somewhat confusing for some people. However, Srila Prabhupada, he breaks it down again for us, and he said, the Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of him, everything is sustained by him, and everything after annihilation rests in him. So, dear friends, again, I'm just kind of thinking how fortunate we are to be able to hear Akura speak these prayers and to be able to have Srila Prabhupada break these prayers, these very intimate, loving exchange that is explaining about who Krishna is and how Krishna enacts in the material energy and how Krishna is still separate from the material energy. And we learn this by understanding this principle of akincha, of simultaneously one and different. By understanding this principle, then we are able to understand what, or we're able to hear what Akura is saying in his prayers. We're able to like, oh, Akura, he's so connected with the Lord that he understands totally who Krishna is from a spiritual, intellectual place, and also from his heart connection. Because remember, in this story, in this pastime, you know, he's doing this humble thing of massaging and washing Krishna's feet. And at the same time, simultaneously one different, he has this amazing understanding, or this very deep understanding of who the Lord is. And it can be a little bit mind-blowing, you know, because Srila Prabhupada, that was what he came to do, is to teach us how to understand who Krishna is, at least to be able to explain it to another person, and then to be able to realize it, not just to explain it. The theory is there, and it's important to understand the theory. However, what's as important and important, so it's both and important, is to have the realizations about the theory. And so here, Akura is showing us both. He's showing us that from the heart, you serve the Lord in simple ways. Find simple ways to serve the Lord. And at the same time, learn who the Lord is, so that when we explain this, we can show by our practical example, we can embody that mood of Akura, which is this mood of having, of reciprocating with the Lord. And so the other point that's mentioned here is, since you are the original source of all knowledge, what could ever cause you to be bound by illusion? Right. So again, Kunti prays on this point, and Krishna Kunti, in Mother Kunti's prayers, she's also expressing this about how Krishna is within everything, and yet he's outside of everything. In Kunti's prayer, she says that she's telling the Brahmanas in the 16th text of her prayer. She says, "Do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of how Krishna's transcendental energy. Don't think that this is wonderful, but this is Krishna's transcendental energy. He creates, he maintains, he annihilates. And he says the Lord is mysterious and infallible. And so she's explaining that. And then Krishna also explains, and I'm sorry, in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 9, text 18, it's explained that Krishna is explaining that he's the source of all creation and that ultimate rest after annihilation. He's the cause of all causes. So everything is resting on Krishna, Prabhupada tells us, on Krishna's energies. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing can exist. Krishna is a supreme ruler because everything belongs to him and everything exists on him, on his energy. Krishna being situated in everyone's heart. Again, we understand that Krishna is with us all the time, is a supreme witness, The residences, the countries or planets in which we live are also Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal of shelter, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna. These are all points that Prabhupada is making about the Supreme Lord, and that Akura is speaking in his prayers. And since Krishna is the source of our generation, or the Supreme Father, no one could be a better friend than Krishna. And so Krishna is the original source of creation and ultimate rest for annihilation. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes. So here we're hearing all of this from Akura. And, these philosophical prayers, as we said, are prayers to help us, at least to help me to pray, to get some realization in my day-to-day life of how Krishna is here. He's always here with us, and Krishna is always giving us an opportunity to enter into his pastimes. And this can be achieved simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam on a day-to-day basis, and also by chanting, calling on the holy names of the Lord, of course. And so Ekavira Prabhu is going to share some things from the next verse. And we have, a few minutes. One, maybe a couple minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
No, okay. We just discuss something briefly. In that last verse, let's see. I wanted to touch on a particular point here that therefore you never undergo bondage or liberation, and if you appear to, it is only because of your desire, and that that we see you in that way, or simply because of our lack of discrimination. And so in this particular point here, Krishna manifests. How and why does he manifest in that way? Gokura explains it. And then in the purport, the reference of Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda wants to see Krishna in a particular way, wants to actually have that loving relationship in the mood of, parental affection. And so therefore, this Lila manifests by the Yogamaya potency. But what about the lack of discrimination? How does that manifest? Of course, by the other potency, Mahamaya potency. And so therefore, Krishna expresses that Sarvashtra Jaham Riddhisani Vistu, that from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And so therefore, based upon the devotee's desire to actually engage in loving reciprocation with the Supreme Lord, one remembers, one forgets, one has this sees Krishna, is covered by Yogamaya, or they're covered by Mahamaya. I was just thinking about that particular point. What does Krishna really desire? Does Krishna desire that we have this lack of discrimination? No, of course not. The title of the chapter is Krishna pleases his devotees. So everything that he actually does is actually to reciprocate with the living entity. And so therefore, what is our particular desire? Krishna desires to actually reciprocate with us. What is our desire? How he reciprocates is based upon our particular desire. And so there was this story. Don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so our desire is it's important to actually understand what our desire is. How are we actually designing our desire? I heard this phrase somewhere. I can't remember who. I got that from. Designing a desire. How are we designing our desire? And that's what the example we have here at the Bhakti Center. And of course, all of our other centers throughout the world, but especially the Bhakti Center, because we have loving affection for the devotees. And And the speakers that come on the Bhakti Sector that Vraja Lila expressed, and they speak the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm.
And so by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, this is how we actually design our desire. And so therefore, even if we don't have a taste, that verse in the Bhagavatam, if we have material desires or without material desires or want liberation, worship the Supreme Lord. And of course, it's a trick there. Vaishnavas are very tricky, and Krishna, he's very tricky. There's a pastime of the Lord in Vrindavan, and was it? I think it's Rupa Goswami expresses it. If you have material desires, then don't go see that little blue boy who was walking along the banks of River Yamuna at Keshigat. Because once you see this beautiful form of the lotus-eyed Lord, then your material life will be finished. But at the same time, the ultimate thing is that everyone, ultimate desire to be happy. It's just unfortunate that we seek happiness in an unhappy place, the material realm. And so therefore, we lack discrimination when we seek happiness in the material realm. I know we only have
that's what
a short period of time. So what is our desire? What team are we on? Team A or Team B? Are we aligning ourselves with those who desire to continue to try to enjoy in the material arena? Atheists, Team A, or Team B? Those who desire to align with Krishna, the bhaktas, and serve the Supreme Lord and please him. And that is Krishna's desire. Thank you. We need to stop for us.
See, when Ekavira starts speaking, actually, he cannot. Anyway, I go. Thank you so much for joining me, Ekavira.
Thank you, Prabhus. Wonderful class. Vraja Lila, thank you for sharing your realizations and expertise in bhakti, and thank you for encouraging Ekavira to speak. Thank you, Ekavira Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Damodar Priya.
Hare Krishna, dear Ekavira Prabhu and Vraja Lila Prabhu. So nice to see the both of you. As always, having a Grahasta couple give class together is always so inspiring. To me particularly, but I know to everybody else who's in that ashram as well, to kind of have those life goals. Like you can serve Krishna together in such a beautiful way. So my question is, we've been talking about how Krishna wants to please the devotees, and I always really resonate with personal anecdotes. So I was wondering, have you ever had an experience where either for yourselves or for others that you've seen how like Krishna magic happens, where like without even meaning to, Krishna kind of arranges to please his devotees, and how that increases their love for Krishna and their kind of desire to serve him?
Yes, absolutely. I think I wanted to share this quick pastime, but I thought we don't have time, so I'll share it real quickly. As always, I like to share something about my spiritual master, just because that's just what nourishes us, hearing from Srila Prabhupada and our respective spiritual masters. And so I had this experience when we were caring for him in Hawaii. His friend Dasarat Prabhu called his godbrother and was going to Vrindavan, and I answered the phone because it was just me and Ekavira taking care of our spiritual master at that time, and so he asked me, "Do you want anything from Vrindavan?" And I said, "What I want from Vrindavan, you can't get me. You can't give it to me." And he said, "Well, what is it?" And I said, "I would like to have Giriraj." And he said, "Yeah, you're right. I can't get that for you." I was like, "Okay, I knew that." Haribo. He talked to Bhakti-Tirtha Guru Maharaj, his revered Gurudev, and then he left. And then Guru Maharaj had a crisis, and we had to get out of Hawaii like overnight or something. In a few hours, had to get the plane, blah, blah, get back to DC and get him to a hospital in DC because it was a major, major crisis. And then when we were in DC with him, after some days, a package arrived in the mail. And in the box was in the mail, it was addressed to me. And I opened the package. It came from Arizona. I opened the package, and it was Giriraj with all his paraphernalia. And I ran up to my Guru Maharaj and I said, I don't know what happened. I got this Giriraj Didi in the mail, and I think he's coming from Dasara Prabhu because we had that conversation. And then he said to me, he says, yes, when I spoke to Dasara, I shared with him to bring you Giriraj. And he went to the palace where Tamal Krishna Maharaj has all these deities, and he picked out for you a Giriraj to bring for you. I want you to know, Giriraj will take care of you and your husband. When my spiritual master left his body, he was holding Giriraj, him and Radhanath Swami both. They both their hands together. Let's show Ekavira. Both their hands together like this, with that same Giriraj in his hand, in their hands. That is the same Giriraj, 18 years that we have been worshiping, that's been taking care of us. This is a true story. And so the Lord just, when we hear a Kura meeting personally with the Lord, I believe all of us had had some experience of having a personal meeting with the Lord, where we're like, Krishna, can't believe you're here. Can't believe this. And then, of course, we automatically go into prayer, because we do understand from Srila Prabhupada that at least I understand, how can I even have this, somehow like Krishna, how can I even have this this understanding, or just this, somehow Krishna is connecting me, or connecting us. So that pastime for me is still so bewildering, how the Lord appeared by that, as Ekavira Prabhu is sharing, by our desire. I had that desire. And the Dita is still with us, we're still worshiping Giriraj. And I remember Radhanath Swami, he doesn't so much appreciate like deities coming out of, especially Govardhan, coming out of Govardhan. And he really doesn't, at least he didn't used to, I don't know, he may have changed now, but he didn't used to want devotees to like take personal care of Giriraj, because I mean, his mood is Giriraj to stay in Govardhan. And yet, whenever Radhanath Swami, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, would come here to His Holiness Bhakti-Tirtha Swami's place, he would see Giriraj, and he would see me worshiping Giriraj. And I never have felt that he didn't, that he was having any kind of disturbance about me having Giriraj and worshiping Giriraj. And so Giriraj has been taking care of us all these years, helping us to he helped us to understand grief so much. And he helped us, and he's helping us. He helps us in so many, many ways. And every morning when I go to him, I'm like, I don't understand, because I don't.
I'll just add something really quickly. There are many different cases in which the Krishna miracle manifests. But there's something that we all can resonate with if we are really appreciative and just take time and just become introspective when we're engaged in the activity and feel Krishna's presence. Like when we honor Mahaprasad and really actually honor Mahaprasad, we can actually feel Krishna's presence. And so much so that we're not satisfied we don't even think about other things that isn't offered to the Lord. The holy name I consider that in personal, my personal life, I've always in the past just wanted to be on the move, had to go, and couldn't sit still. And then participating with Satchidananda Maharaj and His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu, doing the japa retreats, and then there are certain times where I could just sit, and I couldn't sit in a lotus position, still can't, and would sit for 8, 10 hours. And the only time you get up is to go to use the restroom, and once in that particular time, and I didn't want to do anything else. The only way that I could actually be in that particular state was Krishna's presence. So sometimes, we consider the big miracle, and at the same time, we don't acknowledge or recognize the big miracle that takes place that's really subtle. Yeah, it's really subtle, and it happens to each and every one of us.
Thank you. Devotees are requesting you to stay for the afterglow for a few minutes after darshan, if you can. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Afterglow, afterflow, of course.
Thank you. Temple room. Oh no, the conch is about to blow.
Oh, and we want to toss Adi Purusha Prabhu. Prabhu.
Stay for the afterglow, Adipurusha Prabhu, if you can. Okay. Unmute yourself. Unmute, Adi. Unmute. We want full immersion. Adipurusha Prabhu, if you can hear us, unmute yourself. For Krishna's sake, please. Thank you. I still can hear a thing. Is it just me? Yeah, it's the sound. Okay, we can see the Lord. Shishi Radha Muladhar ki jai. Shri Gaur Chandra ki jai. Vraja Lila and Ekavira Prabhu's ki jai. Welcome to the afterglow. Bhima Prabhu, you wanted? Wow, we see Danakeli Prabhu. He's real. Check it out. All right, good. Thank you. Okay, Bhima Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Haribol? Can I
Hare
be heard?
Krishna. Yep.
Haribol, I think it's a wonderful, applicable example of true wisdom combined with humility that Ekavira obliges. Hold on for a second. I'm getting rained on here.
Oh.
Vraja, Lila, to speak, and such a wonderful class, and I really like the pastime of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. You know, it's when I first came to New Vrindavan, when we would have festivals, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would come down, and he would dance in our kirtans. I know I mention this almost every time you get on, but it's something that's emblazoned in my memory. His beautiful swan-like dancing, him and Radhanath Maharaj together, going up, back and forth in the temple room with that particular dance that Maharaj, that Bhakti Tirtha used to do, the leaping at the end and turning and coming back in their sannyas robes, like birds flying, wings stretching out, and it was such a beautiful sight. You were no matter what your vision was, you were assured that you were in the right place at the right time because of the attraction and the joy that both of them expressed. Even though they are great renunciants, at the same time they were so full of joy. And if you were there as a bhakta or as another devotee, you always said to yourself, I want some of that. So this was the greatest miracle in Krishna consciousness, is when you see other devotees being extremely joyful, extremely happy, extremely content. That what you see is not renunciation. You see sort of an absorption that the things that trouble us in this world has fallen away for them, and that they are taking great joy in their expressions. I'd just like to say that we took that with us when we had those festivals at New Vrindavan. We took that mood with us when we would be put in vans, 3 of us at a time. Adi knows what I'm talking about. You know, for months at a time to travel. And Vraja Lila, you also know what it's like. But you existed. You know, you got your batteries charged. You have the e-batteries these days. You would have your S batteries charged, your spirit, your soul battery charged when you would come back for the festival. And you would just go and go and go. And the miracles that I saw, I've come to a conclusion that the more intense our surrender, the more intense our service that requires a surrender of our ego. First, we surrender ourselves physically. We show up to the temple, we dance, we bow down. Then we surrender ourselves mentally by offering prayers, by chanting. And then we surrender ourselves spiritually by sort of like letting go of our attractions to anything in this world, our being impressed. And what would happen when we were out on the road, as Vraja Lila can attest, is that you'd start your day very strongly in sadhana. The chanting would be very, very intense because you knew that you were going to war. You were going out there and you had to surrender your false ego. You had to accept 1,000 no's a day, you know. And then you know, to distribute Krishna's prasad, his mercy in the form of books or prasadam, or you know, just meeting people and engaging them in some type of service. But you would go through that whole day, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours sometimes. And then at the end of the day, it would feel, and this was the miracle that I always felt every day, at the end of the day, I felt like I had done nothing. I had surrendered nothing. I had exerted myself in no way, shape, or form. And that I started the day at the end of my 16 rounds, busting out the side of the van door. And then when I got in at night, I would always say to myself, what just happened? What just happened? And that was that thing where you had that miracle, which is one of the first miracles that you understand, that Krishna is the doer. And the more intensely you engage in service to Krishna, the more you realize that you're not even doing that service. You're not giving anything of yourself. You are simply allowing Krishna to treat you like a puppet and to make you dance, make you dance, make you dance. So thank you very much for the class, Vraja, Lila, and Ekavira. The wonderful, beautiful relationship you two have, and you serve as a shining example for all of us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Bhima. We've so much value you personally, and also your wonderful words every single day. We appreciate how you encourage devotees. Yeah. Yeah.
He's Bhima Kaviraj.
And Adipurusha Prabhu, he's working. Prabhu, we won't get off this call until we hear something from you and Ananda Bihari Prabhu.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Adipurusha Prabhu. It's an open mic morning. Yeah.
Okay, we can't hear him.
While we're waiting for him.
There's a lot of immigrants pouring in through the southern border. So we're distributing about 650 meals a day with Krishna's prasad distribution. And these guys are very, very grateful to get prasadam, believe me. But your class, and actually a verse yesterday mentioned, you use the word understanding Krishna and then realization. And yesterday it said there's hearing about Krishna and there's experiencing Krishna. And so Prabhupada says that example is higher than precept. Radhanath Swami used to do these vegetarian cooking courses, and then he would feed the people, you know. So I told my sister about that, so she went to the university where she was living, and there was a vegetarian cooking course, but there was no food. They would just have a class with a blackboard, and they'd talk about recipes and how, but there were no vegetables, there were no spices, there was nothing to smell, nothing to taste. But Krishna consciousness, we hear about just like in the chemistry class. You have the class, and then you have the lab. We actually do an experiment, or you can watch a basketball game, or you can play basketball. There's a world of difference, you know. So you talked about hearing about understanding Krishna and then the realization of Krishna. You know, the smell, the taste, the touch, the laughter, the feelings in the heart, the tears. You know, I mean, just imagine somebody says, I love children. Yeah, but if you have children, joys and pains of parenthood are nothing subtle. They're very, very powerful. So your class mentioned that about there's the understanding of Krishna, and then there's the experiencing Krishna. So Krishna is drawing us in. And what you also mentioned, which was very, very powerful and very important, is the relationship with the spiritual master is what brings us into the experience of devotional service. He gives us a prescribed duty. And then we have to step out of the academic, theoretical field into tasting and fighting. That's great. You can talk about marriage.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, what's that verse in the Shastra, or it's from Prabhupada, where Srila Prabhupada says, don't lick the jar, taste the honey. Taste the nectar, stop licking the jar. That's Krishna consciousness is very tangible and applicable. What was that?
I'd appreciate Prabhu's back too. Yes, the honey. Look for the honey. I think he's back, but Haribo. And then Adipurusha Prabhu, you are muted.
I said we have an emergency going on here. Just like if there's a fire in the house and everybody runs, all hands on deck, you know. So we're, you know, going out there. It's 21 degrees. It's, you know, it's cold and it's difficult, but there's a great need. And, you know, of course, there's other prescribed duties. This is what Krishna's given me, and it's very real. and it's a challenge, and there's sacrifice involved there. But I have to go right now. Glory to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. We love you guys.
Haribol. We just want to share real quickly that realization comes from action. And
Yes.
our embodiment of action in serving others through prashadam, mercy of prashadam. Thank
Guru,
you.
Guru gives you service. Think about Prabhupada. He was in, they said he was at Advaitacharya's house, and the Pujari saw him. He said there was this old man in the back of the room, and he was chanting, but he was crying. He was heart-wrenching tears, and he said, he went and saw him and said, Prabhu, what is it? What is it? And he said, my guru asked me to go to the West and share Krishna consciousness, and I'm crying that I might be able to do it. So the Hasidic Jewish people say, bake your bread with burning tears. This isn't something dry or something just in a book, that you really are drawn in by the instructions of the spiritual master. I have a call coming in, and I have to pick up this prasadam coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Ananda Bihari Prabhu, there's one Mataji here that I really want to appreciate, Martine, for being on the call. Yeah, it's just so nice to see you. I hadn't seen you in a couple of days on the YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. There's just so much mercy in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, she's not just hearing, she's showing up steadily, she's asking questions, she's digging deep, I tell you. Martine is a special soul. Very special.
I hear her questions sometimes. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Jai Haribol. Gautam Prabhu, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you. I see Dana Kelly Prabhu. Thank
all
you.
the devotees.
Everyone that comes on the call. We thank you so much. And our own dear Ananda Vihar. You're an embodiment of His Holiness Achinanda Maharaj's mercy.
And we're sorry to hear that you.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to His Holiness Sachinandan Swami. We're just a slightly immovable, disorganized servant who's blessed by some service to do. Thank you so much for tolerating us. Wonderful class.
I read recently that, Prabhu, just quickly, I read recently, and we all know this, every obstacle or challenge is an opportunity, right? So your neck, that's a great opportunity that's there for you. Might be just to rest. Maybe.
Thank you. I will. I'll do it as an offering to Krishna. I'll take a nap as an offering to Thank you.
Hari Hari. Thank you very much. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you, Martine. Susan, thank you so much for being here every time. Jai. Yeah, Bruce. Thank you. Ishwari Sundari. Thank you for your amazing service. Thank you. Thank you. Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Taste the honey. Krishna consciousness is real, and it's fun, especially when you put your hands on the deck and get fired up serving Krishna on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and treating everybody in your life in such a way that they know that Krishna loves them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Krishna loves us.
Krishna loves us. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Hare Krishna, Sundar. Nanda.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. All right, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Nice hair though, Sundaranandji. Hare Krishna.
All right, thank you.